Well, hello again. This is Hiro, and we're still on the Juniper series. This is the PROCUMBENS, the Japanese garden juniper. This one was away from the others, so this is the most neglected. Anyway, I'll get around to starting to shape this thing up. I think this one's going to get cut back fairly severely. Anyway, on with the show. Okay, let's kind of start slow and easy. One of my friends, he told me that when he's working on these, he starts from the bottom, and when he gets to the top, he's done. I don't know. I don't have a method. I kind of start here and there. I think we all have our own little style or habits. I always think that the apex is so important. After surviving 10 days of record-setting heat, sure is nice to be nice and cool. One of the things I cannot do is to work on these if I can't wear a long sleeve and gloves. These aggravate my allergies. Now it looks like it's going to rain today, which will really be good. Record heat in September is rare, and rain in September is rare. So we got two rare events, but we've had fires. In fact, one of my good friends, I think he's been evacuated. I haven't found out whether he's gotten home yet. I'll check tonight. But yeah, it doesn't take much for the fire to get going around here. Okay, so you can see I was detailing the apex, and look at this. It goes this way, and then makes a sharp turn, sharp turn, sharp turn. That's one of the things that you can do if you're not using wire. So this is just based on how things grow. Yeah, so this is the fifth and hopefully the last of the series. And this one is in need of pruning the most. Oh yeah, see how it got so thick and long and out of hand here. Well, usually I try to keep the like materials in the same area. I think what happened was I ran out of space, so I stuck it in a section that was totally away, so it got neglected more than it normally is. See, look at all this stuff here. Yeah, this one's gonna look sad when I get done today, but that's what happens when it's not addressed to at the right time. But I could assure you that this does have a good line with taper and movement. That's that much I could assure you, because I've done all that from the beginning. Okay, now this is probably 30 some odd years old, and I built it from the probably either a 1 gallon or maybe even from a cutting. I can't remember that far. In the earlier days, if I was able to find it, I would buy a 1 gallon and then start from there. Then I realized that, hey, you know, making cutting is easy. So I quit buying. and started making my own cuttings. So I'm not sure whether this was bought in or I started from cutting. But it is, either way, it was a long time ago. You can't get it this tall overnight. So yeah, I think I told you in the previous chapters that these are the procumbens, and they would be more like a ground cover. So you have to get a nice stick and then make it go up. So it does take a number of years to get it tall like this. I just realized that you couldn't see what I was doing. You know, I like working alone, making these videos. I feel calm and at peace. Unfortunately, sometimes I can't be the cameraman and the presenter at the same time. But I don't know. I don't know if I could work with a crew. I've done so many things on my own then. I know I have a lot of people that say, I'll help you. I don't know. Well, most of the people that want to help me want to learn, right? So they'll be asking more questions. So it's faster if I just did it myself. Yep, I think I missed one cycle on this one here. It just got all these long things, right? So I'm going to cut it back severely like I would be doing in spring because I missed the spring cycle. And there's some interesting stuff inside, I think. Well, one thing about, you know, when you have a lot of plants like I do, and then you miss your cycle, and then you go in there, and it's like, oh wow, look at that thing. It's almost like Christmas. All these long ones, just too long. Okay, here's one of Hero's drop branches. It goes this way and then comes down. Well, you know, this material, this procumbens, well, because they're a creeper, right? It lends it naturally to this. Well, it's almost like a branch that's a cascade or weeping style. So I try to get it to work. So it's starting to come down, right? Look at this thing. It's totally lost its shape. But the main line is still in there. But you can't see it because it grew so much. Maybe I missed 2 cycles on this one here. You know, what I'm doing is something that I should take 2 hours on and trying to get it down in 20 minutes. I think most of you would probably spend a day on it. But I don't have the luxury of spending that much time because I have so many of them. As it is, I always behind schedule. Okay. See, now you start to get glimpses of the line. So this is our branch, and start to come back, and it has the movement and taper, but it's upside down because that's what happens with branches, right? Yeah, it's starting to have some form in there. And today I'm going to get it so that we could start to see the line, but not as a finished product. And it's probably about a 2-year, well, if I could spend 2 years and doing everything exactly on time, it'll look great. But the reality is probably not. Okay, so see where if I could spend 2 hours, I get all this thing cleaned up. Every one of these all cleaned up. But I'm just going to get close to it and let it grow back again. You know, I've known a lot of great bonsai people, and they all have a desire to start a bonsai nursery, but many cannot make it because they're such a perfectionist that they can only have a limited amount of material for sale. And so, well, I knew early on when I was starting out that I was in the business of selling bonsai, and then try to get the best product out there as economically as possible. But you know that because it takes so long that it can't be cheap, right? And also I've decided early on that I'm not trying to make showpieces for myself, but I wanted to produce material that somebody could develop into masterpieces. And so that's been my criteria for this whole business. And some of my students have gone on to take my material, and I call this still my material, although it has all the basic lines in there, but there's a lot more work from here into a showpiece. And that's what I didn't want to do. Well, I can't afford to do it because then it would be really pricey, and I only have like a dozen instead of hundreds. Okay, it's still rough, but like I said, I try to do these in 20-30 minutes instead of the 2 hours that I should be taking. So it's not bad, but you could see the line, right? It has a very good movement and nice taper. Could use a lot more definition. I just measured this thing and it's about 4.5 feet tall. So it's a little bit large for a bonsai, but if you're given like a prominent spot, like at the entrance of a bonsai show, this will make a statement. But it does require a lot more effort, fine detailing that I usually don't have time to do. Okay, so look at this side too. A lot of possibilities here. I know I have some customers that really are good at their detail work, and I think this one requires somebody like that. 2 years of very detailed work will make this thing look phenomenal. I think of the 5 so far, well, I only have 5 of these big ones. I think this one is maybe my favorite, and it was the one that was most neglected. Remember I said that sometimes when you neglect and then you do it again, it feels like Christmas. Yeah, this one feels like a great gift. But anyway, I'm going to conclude this. I'm glad that I got to all 5 in 3 hours? That's why it's a little bit on the rough side. I got to get done fast. And then I got to go edit and post it. But anyway, this is Hero saying goodbye. I'll see you again real soon in another chapter. I'm really thankful for all you watchers and making comments. Now, I do not reply to your comments, but I will try to remember and address it as I'm making these videos. I'm afraid that if I start to answer one, there will be so many questions that I'll never be able to get around to getting my work done around here. So that's the reason behind it. Before I go, how about some crazy ideas? Okay, now we got some really interesting lines, right? If you want to make this into a more of a bonsai size, what happens if you about halfway up you gin it? I don't know. I'm not partial to ginning. It doesn't come natural to me, so I would not do this. But think about it.